All of a sudden, my friend fell to the ground, and I thought, well, he stumbled, you know. And for some reason, I stepped off of the curb, and when I did, a shot came from behind and passed over my left ear, and I headed for my car immediately and went home. And,
your friend dropped, in other words, to be out of the line of fire.
Before the shot was fired.
He apparently knew what was going to happen.
That's my conclusion now. I was digging up some information, actually, for Jim Garrison and Penn Jones Jr. of Midlothian. I was digging up some information that they wanted, you know, in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And I parked my car on the side of the street, and I went to get this information. And when I came back and cranked up my car, it blew up. The engine caught fire, the hood came up, the firewall blew out. I had all the fuses blew, and I was burnt in the chest area, and I had pieces of glass and metal in the chest, small pieces. I don't know what they put in it, but...
it's not possible the car itself could have malfunctioned and done it.
Not that much of an explosion, no.
Somebody put a bomb in your car.
Somebody put something in it. This last time we had a case to work in West Texas in the Davis Mountains. And my boss sent me out there. And he called the client, who was on a three-party line, and told him what flight I was coming into Midland on, where I was going to rent my car, where I would meet him, and at what time. So I flew into Midland, I rented the car, and I arrived. I was about 2 miles from where I was supposed to meet the client, 1 mile or 2 miles from where I was supposed to meet him. I was supposed to meet him at 3 o'clock, and it was 2:55 then. And I rounded a curve, and there were two men standing outside of a car that was parked crossways in the road. And there wasn't anything to do but try to go around them, and I tried and I missed, and I went over the edge of the mountain, and I rolled end over end for 90 feet or so. I broke my back in 2 places. I broke my left shoulder. I tore the ulnar nerve and ligaments out of my left elbow, crushed my left foot, my right leg. I spent a year in a hospital, 4 major surgeries, 2 on my back, and I'm now totally disabled in the back, partially disabled in the right leg, and unemployed again.
Do you think anyone else is going to come forward and tell it like it was, or as they saw it?
I don't know. I can't speak for anyone else.
Do you think it'll help your situation if someone else does? Or do you think they too would be harassed and put down?
If they knew something really important, one of us would have to go. You can't have corroborating witnesses. It's...
there are people who know something very important.
I'm sure they are. Now, Buddy Walters was one of them that knew something very important, but he was shot to death here a couple of years ago. Now, I have 2 friends that were on the bond desk. One of them was still talking to me, and he died of cancer. And then the other one, he died here, I believe, last December of a kidney infection. And then there was another one that was still talking to me. And these were all people with the sheriff's office now. And he died, and I'm not really sure what he died of. I called the sheriff and offered my condolences, you know, and all the sheriff had to say was he had more chain than he could carry, the man that died.
Roger Craig died in Dallas, May 15, 1975, of a rifle wound in the chest. He owned 2 pistols, The coroner's verdict? Suicide.
Everyone is waiting to hear what's going to happen next, as if...
I'm using this microphone? No. Which isn't in yet? This is the one you're going to have to use. This isn't in yet? No. How are we going to use this? Just like this. We'll switch it. Switch cords. What are you doing, Morris? This one will be okay.
Disgusting.
Okay, no dollars, he's on. No dollars, he's on.
Yes. Walker. I'm on the network feed now.
Kennedy came up with talking to John Kennedy and saying, you know, if you go too far.
We are told that the gunshot wound, the fatal wound inflicted on the President of the United States, entered at the base of the throat and came out at the base of the neck.
It does somehow seem strange that the governor, who so strongly, we might even say bitterly, opposed some of the policies of President Kennedy, has elected to come to Washington.
This is Captain Will Fritz of the Dallas Police Department. The Chief of Detectives is a man who's known as perhaps one of the most astute crime investigators in the whole Southwest. Captain, where do you think your investigation stands now? Does it look good?
Yes, it looked real good. I think we're in good shape.
At 3:39 this afternoon, Eastern Time, in that presidential jet parked at Dallas Airport, Lyndon Baines Johnson became the 36th President of the United States. The oath administered by Federal Judge Hughes.
There are occasional signs of continuing conflict between the civilian and military aspects in the Pentagon. Is this something that we should be concerned about?
But is, I think, also a mark upon the respectability and the responsibility of some of our citizens.
Sum up what progress was made today toward a confession, if any?
I don't think we've made any progress toward a confession.
At the turn of this century, one out of every 3 American presidents were either killed or shot.
Why he did it or anything else. We're just after proving that he did it, which I think we have.
He said, Mrs. Lincoln, I can't live a life where I'm afraid to go out in the public.
President Kennedy, we are told, was shot in the right temple.
Is a people of great common sense, and they are not going to be stampeded or bewildered.
Frankly, I think that the memorial to the President of the United States should belong to all of the people.
Really the first thing that he remembered of the shooting itself was when he was in the homicide office.
Such as the CIA file on Jack Ruby. At the same time, this government pretends...
Fired from behind and struck him in the back of the head, and then incongruously, some way, another bullet struck him in the front of the neck.
Shot which entered his throat and probably came out the other side, the back of his head.
Well, there was a Dallas police officer running up the grassy knoll to the picket fence. So I immediately assumed.
Where would you like to live?
Well, I suppose in Boston, because, well, that's where he comes from and where he belongs. I suppose any other place you'd be sort of drifting.
You want to be with him?
Yeah.
You're pretty much in love with him, aren't you?
Oh, no.
What?
I said no, didn't I?
Yes, you did. You want to do it again? I was hoping you wouldn't say anything because your reaction was wonderful.
That's great. You are pretty much mother,
I suppose so.